Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's time for Wisdom Wednesday. This week, I thought I would revisit some things that we've talked about in the past, but in particular, fiber, as we've had a lot of patients recently struggling with some GI issues and dealing with a lot of bloating and slow transit, constipation, these types of things. And even with people with loose bowels, fiber tends to be a very beneficial thing. And fiber is a plant-based type of molecule and product. It does not come from dairy or from animal products. It's strictly plant-based. There are two types of fiber. There's insoluble and soluble. And that insoluble is from a lot of the grains and plant products that just don't get absorbed. And the soluble is the type that we can get from certain fruits and plants that is a gel-like type of fiber that easily helps with slowing absorption and helping fill the stomach so that we feel full, and for many people can be very helpful for weight loss. So fiber in and of itself has many benefits, but one of the most important things that we need to have with gut function is that just general movement every day, having a good bowel movement, good stool formation, so that we don't reabsorb a lot of our hormones, in particular estrogen. It helps to really move and metabolize our metabolized estrogen out of the body so that we get all of those metabolites either out through the urine or out through the gut, and they're not reabsorbed and reutilized and cause issues with DNA damage. In particular, for instance, say with the breast. So women who are struggling with having regular bowel movements, this is a really important aspect to address is, are you getting enough fiber? And we tend to just not have as much fiber. Our ancestors used to get 50 to 100 grams of fiber every day. The average American female gets about 14 to 18 grams of fiber. And that's just really very low. And this has to do with our diets, particularly eating processed foods where a lot of this is removed. So let's talk a little bit about fiber and how we can get more fiber into our day, because it's important not only for just regular movements, but for detoxification and transitioning all these things out of our body. It also helps with gut movement. There's been plenty of studies with this, recognizing the importance from a gut standpoint in reducing risk for cancer and other chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's and heart disease. So getting enough fiber seems to have a real benefit in all these areas. So I think it's something we need to address. Now, getting fiber in the diet is challenging because for many of us, we try to fast a little bit, and we're trying to avoid inflammatory foods, in particular, a lot of the grains and bean products that tend to have a lot of fiber. So in order to get enough fiber, we have to supplement it. And I do have some fiber supplements that we like to use. I like to use a product here called OptiFiber Lean, and it's an inulin type product. It's a product that does form a gel-like liquid when you add it to water, so you drink it fairly quickly. We have it in a powder form and we have it in capsules now. So for folks who want to use it prior to meals, it's really helpful. And it does kind of help fill the gut a little bit. When I'm telling people about how to eat their plate in trying to limit insulin response, what I tell people is on your plate, eat your fiber first, because that helps not only fill you, but also will help slow the absorption of the carbohydrates. So eat your fiber first, your protein and your fats next, and then you can have whatever complex carbs or starches that you're having so that it will actually blunt that insulin response and slow absorption. In other words, making sure that those carbs have some type of preliminary things that are, and some people call it dressing your carbs, so that you actually have things on it, like you have some fat on it, or you have provided more protein and certainly the fiber prior to eating any of those starches. Now you can also get prebiotics, which are helpful in the form of things like asparagus, onions, garlic, green bananas, seaweed, flax seeds. Any types of seeds or nuts can be really helpful, but those are prebiotics, and that helps feed the gut bacteria and help improve the microbiome. And we think that adding all this fiber and prebiotic type of fiber is beneficial from a health standpoint, in that because it affects the microbiome in a positive way and allows healthy bacteria to grow, thereby reducing leaky gut and a lot of the things that can kind of get into the system and increase our risk for those long-term chronic diseases. So I encourage you to look at adding more fiber, increase your vegetable intake, do vegetable smoothies. What I like to do is I add this fiber generally to my water in the morning and at night when I take all my supplements or any of my medications, not really medications, but I guess my hormones. I will do that just to make sure that I get extra fiber during the day. It's really hard to get up to 40, 50 grams of fiber in a day if you're not supplementing, I think, in our world, especially when you're trying to avoid a lot of grains, etc. So hopefully that's been some helpful information. Remember, you want to get fiber early in your meal. So eat your vegetables first, do more green smoothies and putting vegetable fibers. Don't just juice things. You want to get that fiber. And then add the carbs toward the end of the meal so that it slows absorption and has less impact on your nutrition. But getting fiber, more seeds and nuts, eating those early on, putting them on salads, putting them in your smoothies can be really helpful. Chia seed pudding is one of the best things you can do. A can of coconut milk, put in a 1/4 cup of chia seeds. I usually add a tiny bit of vanilla and just a little touch of some maple syrup just to give it a little more flavor. But that's one of the best things you can do to add some fiber to your day as well. Plus just a little something to top off a meal. It's kind of nice to have a little sweet at the end. So you all have a great week. Fiber up, and we'll talk again next week.